where you've come from. I mean, very publicly dealing with the SBC when the sexual abuse report came out in the summer of 2022. I remember reading a lot of your thoughts on it as I read through the report, dealing with the political outcries that you've dealt with. I mean, you've gone through a lot, and then publicly exiting the SBC. How has that been for you since that time? Has it been a relief? Has it been, I'm looking over my shoulder? Do you feel like you've been ostracized from those that, I mean, because you've written, this is, a lot of this is autobiographical in the book. I
Yeah.
mean, you've reflected a lot in there. There's some real pain that have come through the pages, but also a lot of hope too, because I know you have a lot of friends. That's where you've been nurtured, and you've kind of attracted people that have come out of that. Where are you right now as you're dealing with that and processing it?
Well, I don't really think that I have been through anything unusual. Um, as a matter of fact, I think in some ways, uh, I was I was more protected than, say, a young pastor who's dealing with a congregation and doesn't know what's going to happen to me and where am I going to go. I mean, so I think that I haven't really experienced what a lot of other people have to the degree that they have. And I only wrote autobiographically, and I actually was wrestling with whether to do that, because I really hate, oh, I know you've been through a lot. Well, I mean, yeah, everybody's been through a lot, and I'm fine, you know. But the reason I did was because I knew that where I end up is very hopeful. And one of the things that I see is just like the kind of cliche about the simplicity on the other side of complexity. Uh, that's a cliche because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a kind of hope that is just naivete or willful blindness to the problems that are there, or refusal to speak about those problems. And I wanted to say, no, I see the problems, and I've lived through the problems, and I'm still a Christian. And there's a reason why I'm still a Christian, and it's because exactly what the crowd say at the end of John 10. John the Baptist did no signs, but everything he told us about this man, Jesus, was true. And so I'm able to say, okay, I have reevaluated everything. I've gone through this time of thinking all of this through, and where I've ended up is with a sense of, well, a lot of it needed to go, but everything that they, and by they I mean not the Southern Baptist sort of ruling structure, but the churches, the people who raised me in Southern Baptist life, everything they told us about, everything they told me about Jesus was true. And there's more that was true, and there were other things they told me that weren't, but that was, and I'm even more convinced about the truth of the gospel than I was before, and I'm even more hopeful about the advance of the gospel and the future of the church than I was before, because I don't see it as dependent on um, the institutional structures in the same way that I was. And I'm a huge believer in institutions and in denominations. I mean, I'm still not used to the fact that I'm in a non-denominational church. We love our church, but it's just I'm the last person on earth to be involved in anything non-denominational, because I really believe that institutions, when they're working well, are meant to have that long-term sort of influence that's longer than any one given human life. And so that's why I gave so much of my life to shoring up an institution and to shoring up a denomination. But we're at a point right now where I'm able to step back and say, okay, God is not, though, bound to that. and is doing a lot of things, even as a lot of the structures are falling and a lot of the other structures have become decadent. God's still at work, and the gospel's still going forward, and I believe that.
I remember discussing with Malcolm Guide. He says, "Hey, even if we get down to 12, we're good."
Yeah. Even if we get down to 11, we're good. If we get down to 12 and
right.
one leaves, we're good.
That's an encouragement, though. I think we need that
Yeah.
encouragement, because it can seem like the sky is falling. But yeah, when I
Yeah.
look at how God has brought, I mean, I know we could get into the topic of immigration, but because I worked with immigrants for many, many years,
Uh-huh.
and in seeing so many of them come from Christian backgrounds, and seeing them reinvigorate the church, being in New England, seeing the white evangelical churches were in decline, but the global evangelicals who were brought in were bringing new life in this incredible way and giving
Yeah.
me unbelievable hope and an opportunity for those who don't yet know Jesus. I mean, we had Muslims coming to services, Hindus. They were inquiring because God is doing a work globally. I
Yeah.
sometimes wonder if we're in the way. We're getting in the
Yeah.
way of that with some of our religiosity.
So in a lot of ways we are, when you think about a lot of things that are being exported out from the United States.
Oh,
I'll often hear from faithful African Christian pastors who are saying, just when I start discipling my people, they start getting prosperity gospel material from, and it's all from the US.
yeah,
That's that sort of thing. But if you look at what I was just talking to a Canadian yesterday who was talking about the state of the Canadian church, which of course is very Western
yeah,
European. And he said, you're seeing that continued irrelevancy and decline. But where you see churches that are thriving, they're Nigerian, they're Korean, they're people who North African, they're
mhm,
people who are really re-enlivening Christianity with a kind of Christianity often that has been forged, at least, sometimes just a generation back, but has been forged by minority status over against Islam, or over against Hinduism, or something else, or over against uh, Chinese state secularism. And that's actually Christianity does best in
yes.
those circumstances.